Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Renew Podcast. I am your host, Kristen Andre, and today we are talking about some really cool stuff because on our mission to help you reclaim your life without losing your edge, I have been bringing in my buddies, my girls, to help us talk about some different topics. And today, back with us, I have the fantastic Shelby Triick.
Hello.
And, you know, for those of you guys watching the live stream, you will notice this. Shelby and I have this uncanny ability to wear the exact same outfit. And we have done this probably 4 or 5 times now.
Probably more.
And in embarrassing things, because we have a lot of the same, you know, my background's in finance, you do in the venture capital and investment space, and we'll show up at events with the exact same outfit on. And we've done it once again.
Down to the shoes.
Down to the shoes. So we have done it once again. For those of you guys watching online, you will actually be able to see this. But I'm excited to have Shelby back with us today because as one of my inner circle, one of my close friends, we talk about a lot of different things. In today's topic, we're talking about energy, both good and bad, and what it does to us. And I think as we enter into this holiday season where so many of us are going to be seeing family and friends, some of which bring us good energy and good vibes, and some of which do not. I think this is an important topic to talk about.
Probably, yeah, I think it's always important to talk about.
I like it, but I think it always is too. And I say this a lot is I'm really big on energy and I call it the vibe. Yeah. I get a vibe from somebody. So let's start there. When I meet somebody, I get a positive or negative vibe right off the bat.
I do too.
Big time.
Yeah, I do too.
How strong is it?
For me, it's pretty strong. And it's funny because even if the person is not showing up as their the best version of themselves.
Yep.
Like sometimes I show up as not the best version of myself. You can still feel their like inner vibe, if you will.
I think so too.
A little woo woo, but so it does. So even if you're not your best self that day, like I get a sense of what the person is really bringing to the table. Are they just having a bad day, or is this who they are all the time? And it's such
You can sense it.
Yeah.
I can sense it from a person too. And I think I can read through when they're really a good person and trying to be, you know, like my youngest, she'll do that. She's, you know, sometimes she's just doing what she thinks, but she's young. She's doing what she thinks she should. But I get it from people. And my friends joke with me, I can tell it from a picture.
Oh.
Somebody, that's been the running joke with my friends. Like, I got somebody I want you to meet. Let me see a picture. I'm like, yep, nope. Yeah. I mean, that quick.
Very rarely. You and I are very similar in that way. And I can't think of the people.
I can totally think of the people. I can think
of a handful of times where when I met them, you know, in real life or something else, I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't like 100% dead on.
Yep.
But you're still not my people.
I can, and you guys know, because I talked about that a lot in You're Not For Everyone when we put that book out, is finding your people.
Yeah.
And I will give people a chance. Some people I've given way too many chances.
Same.
But I'll give people a chance and start to see, but it's usually a vibe right away. And any time that I've made crazy mistakes, it wasn't that I misjudged somebody, it was that I ignored all the gut stuff.
Yeah.
All those things happening.
Well, there's the energy that they bring, and then there's it's a little nuanced for me. There's like the energy they bring, and then there's the energy they share with you. And some people, you could call that investment in others. Like some people will invest in you and some people won't, even if they have great energy. There's also that kind of transfer.
Well, you got to go deeper, but I'm only going to go deeper with the people that I'm getting the good vibe or the good energy from. And I know that sounds kind of woo-woo, which I feel like I'm getting a little more into the woo-woo space here. I don't know what happened. Y'all broke open the heart chakra and we're in trouble now.
Scared.
It is scared because we are. So for those of you guys that are new to the show that don't listen all the time, which you should do, it was probably 2 years ago. I was doing an influencer tour for a magazine here in Atlanta, Best Self, and I'd gone to a place and they were like, "Oh, we're going to do a Reiki session." I'm like, "Fantastic! No idea what this is."
Yeah.
I mean, I'd heard of it, but I thought it was a little woo-woo and out there. And shockingly, we determined that my heart chakra was very closed. And so I've been doing that. I've been trying to be nicer, and I feel like I'm pretty nice.
You're nice.
I know I'm pretty nice, but
that's not.
I've been
nice.
trying
that's
to be open to be in meeting more people and all this type of stuff. So I've really I'd say the last decade, more so in the last 5 years, but definitely the last decade. I mean, I'm in the personal and professional development world, so I do a lot of work, a lot of growth. I've really focused on this, and I'm starting to really opened myself up more, I feel like. So
Yeah.
the chakra's open now.
I think you are.
My friends are thrilled. But it's
Thrilled, y'all. Thrilled.
But what's been interesting is I feel like in doing all that work and focusing on personal and professional development, I'm able to kind of see other people as they are. And while I thought it was more academic and more like what they've done, it's really not. It's a lot of the energy they're putting out.
Yeah, it's a lot of what they bring to the table. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, you said something somewhat critical to the conversation, and that's in the last couple of years. Because something that I noticed was, as probably a certified extrovert who now realized she's an ambivert, kind of straddles the line. Pandemic happens, March 2020, world shuts down, everybody's told to stay home. And I was like, ugh. And then I went, oh.
Yeah, it was nice.
I get to stay home. I get to say no. Like, oh my gosh. And, there were obviously some downsides to that. I'm going to make some just generalized statements. But, what I learned was at that point in time, the people that I went to, the wells that I wanted to get water out of, I realized were my energy sources. And it really narrowed the field for me and really highlighted who I wanted at my table. Now, of course, my circle also expanded during that time with Best Self in 2020 and other things. But that was like an even more abundant group of people that just bring really positive, good. Oh, good vibe. You know what? Like
the
that,
good vibes.
That good vibe.
But that's what it is. It changed for me a lot too. And I think a couple of my girlfriends, we had this conversation at the beginning of the pandemic, is we felt like our schedules were getting so out of hand. And I've said this on the show before. Everybody just assumes I'm this massive, big extrovert and I'm always out there because I do a lot of things. We get the opportunity to do fun stuff, media stuff, all of that, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, I don't recharge with a group. I recharge by myself. I recharge sitting at home watching Hallmark Channel.
I didn't realize that's where I did.
I didn't either. And I think a lot of people that are seen as extroverts, that's where everybody just assumes they're this big personality.
Now, I get energy from that, but then I found I also need to just go
decompress. Yeah, I decompress by myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need that. I need those weekends where I'm laying on the couch and doing nothing. I'm watching a movie. I'm, maybe grabbing dinner with a couple friends, things
small.
like that, but small. So it's, but that's following the energy, which is what we're talking about, because so many people, I feel like they just follow the things instead of following the energy. So during the pandemic, I learned to let the energy lead. So if we all had to decompress. We were at home by ourselves. And I remember, when this first happened, we're all like, oh man, it was kind of a weight off our shoulders. Like all these events that we were going to, we didn't have to do them anymore.
Yeah.
We had a break, but then we had started missing them. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And now the pendulum swung back. I feel like, there were a couple of weeks ago, I had something every evening,
day.
just some type of commitment. And it was like, oh, this is a lot.
Yeah.
But I really have to ask myself, and one of the quotes I use frequently with my coaching clients is, if it's not bringing you energy or moving you closer to your goals, say no.
Yeah.
And that's really, say no. Don't say yes to it. Don't commit to it. Don't do it. Don't see it. Don't eat it. Don't drink it. Don't date it. Don't marry it. If it's not bringing you energy or moving you closer to your goals, you got to say no.
Yeah.
Think about those categories though.
Yeah.
We're all like, oh, well, I'm not going to the gym, or say no.
Yeah.
Or I've gained weight. Well, say no to that extra, order of French fries.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to say good to that because that's bringing the energy. But I think we don't, part of it's saying no. We've talked about that on the show a lot. But I feel like if we let energy be our driver, we'd make better decisions.
Well, you'd really identify, like, I tried to look at, like, what am I going to say yes to? Like, what are the yeses that are going to get me to my goal? And sometimes it's hard because some of my biggest successes or wins in work or in life have been because I showed up somewhere I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, well, like, I don't know what I'm going to encounter. And then other times I show up and I, like, walk over the threshold of wherever it is I am, and I'm like, shit.
I know.
Like, I'm here. Like, okay.
You do that a lot.
I do.
Because I drag you to places. So
Shit. And then Kristen's like, all right, baby steps.
Here
Shelby.
we're going, baby steps. But I think it's because you will dive in and go. Because even with some of the
I'm a jumper, as we discussed in the comfort zone. I'm a jumper.
You are a jumper. She likes to leap. I have to be tippy-toed up to the leap, and then assess the risk factor of the leap, and then probably pushed over the edge to actually take the leap.
But then it's funny because Kristen's like, okay, come on, I'm dragging you over.
I do. I can so get other people to leap. Yeah. I will get other people
That's why you're good at what you do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But I do that. I get people to push.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I'm a little scared to leap on. So other things I do a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I do try to follow the energy with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even leaping out of a plane. There's no energy around that.
Yeah.
None.
Well, it's something you and I talked about, and you put in your, like you have in your book, and identifying those people that provide you with energy, like you're one of mine.
Yep.
And, filter those people into your calendar weekly, because it's not just like the places that you're going that are going to provide you energy. It's also like, who are you inviting in, like inner circle or otherwise, but like that can feed that energy. Because I realized that this was like 7 or 8 years ago, being in an environment where I was really the only bubbly one. And
bubbly Shelby.
That's what we're going to call it.
But we're going to call it bubbly
one. And everybody else was more introverted, head down, doing the work. And I was like, okay, this is not where I can start my day. Like I've got to start my day out so that my energy level is up, so then I can withstand it.
But I think that goes to knowing where you need to be to function appropriately and optimally, but also knowing your surroundings.
Yeah.
Because the Energizer thing you mentioned, I talked about that in the book. I took that from Shelby because she suggested it to me, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years ago at least.
Like 7
or 8 years ago. And what it was you find one person, she calls it the Energizer list. You make an Energizer list. I have mine written down. I know who they are. I hide it so people don't know, because I've literally had people say, am I on your list? I'm like, I don't know. Are you any fun? But it's
some people
really,
think they're fun and they're not.
Some people, that is true. They are not on the list.
That's okay.
But the Energizer list is your list of people that beyond a shadow of doubt, they're going to make you laugh. They're going to make you smile. They'll elevate your mood. That's really what it is. They bring you energy, even if you don't have it.
Or they'll make you think in the right mindset. Sometimes it's not even like, oh, bring me a bunch of positivity and like put it in my bucket. Sometimes it's just those people that make you think in a way that is good. It's good for you.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a gripe session, but like it's getting it out. Sometimes
we have those.
It's a positive session. Sometimes it's a strategizing session. So it's not always about like, oh, let me go find someone.
Yeah, it's not your happy-go-lucky cheerleaders. Yeah. But the cool thing with the Energizer list is, and Shelby's advice was, to make sure that one person from that list is on your calendar each and every week, whether it's a coffee, drinks. It can even be a phone call, because some of the people on my list are not local. So some of them I'll try to make sure that I'm grabbing time with on the phone. Like I say, hey, let's catch up this week. Are you around Thursday afternoon?
Yeah.
And it's just to bring you the energy. It's to kind of steal those, because we all need that.
Yeah.
And I look at calendars a lot with my clients, and the rule of thumb I always have is look at your calendar. Make sure you have the Energizer on there first. But then the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're looking at your calendar and you dread something that's on it, whether it's a person, a client, an event, they need to come off your calendar. I mean, a lot of the times we consciously make choices to surround ourselves with things and people that just drain the heck out of us.
Yeah. And don't you think in life, just in work, we have enough commitments that, are somewhat not negotiable for us? Like,
for sure.
I mean, there are things you just, I don't think either of us are saying like, well, don't do the things you're supposed to do, and don't fight those things necessarily. I think everybody's work, job, home has those items where it's like, I'd rather not do it, but like it's got to get done.
Yes, and because I learned that from improv. How about that? Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Yes, and. But some of the things are more controllable than we imagine. Like some of the things could come off, maybe not tomorrow. Like you can't not clean your house, but you can outsource it.
Yeah.
So there are ways to really take a look at what's on your calendar that's really draining me and taking me from the things and the people I want to be around.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of the kids. I've tried.
Or you can just not have them. You could
not have them. Ship has sailed on that one for one of the two of us. But Shelby, all right, so I have 3 children. Shelby has two.
Has dogs.
Has
and
dogs.
A cat.
Yeah, a dog's and a cat. Has 4-legged children. Does not have children. And we were literally out somewhere. This was the funniest thing. I almost passed out. I don't know where we were. And somebody's like, do you have children? And you just dead face just go, no, I don't, I'm allergic. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I'm allergic too, but I have to take allergy meds for them every day. No, but some of the things like our kids and they all drive us not bonkers. I mean, if y'all are saying your kids don't drive you bonkers, we're not being real.
That's the job of a kid.
It is the job of a kid.
Growth is bonkers.
And we love them despite it all, but we can't take them off our calendar. No. But we can bring in reinforcements. Mm-hmm. We can bring in other people to help. We can do things with other, parents and other friends. Yeah. So part of it is just figuring out where am I losing energy? One, we got to make sure we're getting enough of the good stuff, the good juju, but we got to make sure we're not expending energy in places that we could do something about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you always say that to me. Control the controllables.
Control the controllables. It's one of my catchphrases.
That's one of.
I've been told I speak in sound bites, but control the controllables is one of them.
But I love it. I hear that in my head. Like, is this something that I control? Is it control the controllable?
Well, and here's the thing: is if you can't control it, quit bitching about it, because you're either gonna keep complaining about. If you have no control, she's gonna keep fussing. If you have no control over it, you've got to decide. I mean, you're making a conscious choice. The more you fuss about something you have zero control over, you are making a conscious choice to put those negative thoughts in your head.
Yeah,
I'd rather just have positive thoughts. For sure. Yeah. I'm always right. I'm just playing. Tell my kids.
Complaining.
No, but I think part of it is them figuring out what pieces of it you can control.
Sure.
And what your hill to die on is.
Oh, yeah.
And that's different for everybody.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, and some people are, one of my friends, he was texting me the other day, and he's just like the world's ending and all kind of stuff, and that was my response is, what do you have control over?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have control over it, then there's not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah.
Certainly fight for the things you believe in and control the controllables. But other than that, some of us we just might need to let things lie a little bit.
Fight mode has been strong for a lot of people for a long time, in like the last couple of years, and so I think there's an opportunity for a lot of people to just shift.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because that deals directly with energy. Mm-hmm. So I think the fight mode is a good one, and I love a good fight. I love kicking people in the head, but when I can, but typically only in the ring. And I'm way out of training. I need to get back to training.
I'm not going to test it.
I wouldn't test it, but I did go. So I have a Taekwondo background. I did go to class a few times, and I got put in a ring with my daughter and another one of the 16-year-olds, and I thought I was going to legit die. So I'm like, can we start me with the adults instead of the teenagers? Because I feel this isn't safe. But anyway, getting back there, the fight mode is strong. Yeah. And that's, I'm not talking about physical fighting. I'm talking about the emotional, the sparring, all this stuff that we do. Honestly, I think just to tick other people off.
Yeah, we're just ratchet it up. It's just all ratcheted up.
Why has fight mode gotten, to me, it's not fun. I don't like arguing. I like to think I'm nice. I really don't like to. There's few things that are hills to die on for me.
So don't you think, I have to remind myself of this often, but don't you think that fight mode is fear mode?
Yes.
What are we afraid of? And a lot of what people are, there are so many things that people are afraid of right now. And a lot of people feel like those things are outside of their control. You can't control somebody else's decisions to do what you want them to do in this environment and otherwise. And so it's, I think it's this fear factor that people are dealing with. And, I don't know how to help the collective with all of that. But I still think once you identify, so I find myself in work sometimes where I'm like, and then, I'm in my mind, I'm like, why am I fighting this? And I'm like, well, it's because I'm afraid of something. What am I afraid of? Heather Breedlove has helped me with that. Like, well, what's the fear?
Well, we've talked about that before. What is the worst thing that can happen? Because I think fear is a big thing, but there's two components. One, fear is, it's real. It's for a lot of people. Yeah. It's, the acronym we always use is false evidence appearing real, or fear everything and run, face everything and run. There's all these acronyms. Yeah. And my brother's really good at sending them to me. And like when I'll say the word fear, he'll send me all the acronyms. Which one is it? And I'm like, oh, come on. But it means different things to different people. So for a lot of people, fear paralyzes people.
Yeah.
And then they don't act. And for a lot of people, fear just makes them just go fight mode, right?
Fear makes me fight.
You do.
Yeah.
You're a fight mode girl.
I am.
I have to calm Miss Shelby down on the occasion because of fight mode.
Now, fortunately, I have those people in my ring. They're just outside my,
We'll pull you back.
They're
We
just
grab your collar.
They're just outside the ropes. And
Yeah.
because I've put those people close to me for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're the people that I'm vulnerable with. They're the people that probably see fight mode more than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, like, let's make a choice here. Like, what are you afraid of? And I'm grateful for that, and I have family members that do that too, but I'm grateful for that because then, much like I think raising kids, like I still hear my dad in my ear, I still hear my mom in my ear. So I have these great friends who are very real with me and are like, okay, here. And then I can hear their voices in my head too.
But I think that's the important thing when it comes to protecting our energy is to have those people in our world that are close to us that know when we're getting out of bounds. Like I call it my grasp group, my inner circle, which is hugely, hugely small. And it's fun. I say this all the time. I have the show. I talk about all kind of different stuff. My private life is very private. I mean, I'm pretty darn secretive about, not because it's a secret, just because everybody doesn't need to know my business. My inner circle does, but those are also my grasp group, as I call them. They're the only people that I listen to in terms of that advice. They're the ones that are on the outside of the ring that are, if I'm going too much fight mode or going too much, crazy or whatever, they'll pull me back. And that's important when it comes to protecting your energy to have that.
I think it's important. Like, I think this conversation wouldn't be whole if we didn't talk about, like you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like having those places in your life that are sacred so that you draw energy from. We talked a little bit about it with having your energizers or identifying the things on your calendar that you say no to, but like, what are other energy givers? Is it hiking? Is it meditation? Is it working out? Is it like a Bachelor TV show?
Is that your thing? Is it the Bachelor TV?
Oh my gosh. And every year I say, or every season I say, I'm not watching this season.
I have some friends I'll introduce you to.
And then tonight, that's where I'll be, is on my couch watching the show.
That's so funny.
But I mean, like, identify those things and lean into them or find them.
I think you're right, because energy doesn't have to, we're talking a lot with people, but I feel like that's who keep you grounded, but energy can be anything. I have a friend that, he does a lot of meditation and like that is his zen and that's kind of what grounds him. And he does a lot of hiking. So kind of he'll hike, he'll meditate, he'll do that. And that kind of is his grounding force with everything. And he does it all the time, which is fantastic. I mean, he lives in California, so it's a great place to hike and meditate. But I have other friends that do that. They binge watch TV. I'm not a TV watcher. We figured that out, except for my two things.
Yeah.
My homework and my Nicholas Sparks. But I'm working on expanding my TV horizons. We'll see.
But like, I find if I'm not, like, if I go through a lull or if, I don't know, y'all that know me, I break toes on a regular basis and then I can't work out for a while.
Yes.
Like, I find if I'm not working out, then I just become darker. I don't think I go to a dark place. I think I just become darker.
Well, but that's an energy. You get a lot of energy from your workout. So Shelby is if there's a home gym component company, she has it. So you've got the Peloton, you've got the tonal, which is kind of like the mirror. I don't know. There's all these things that you can work out.
Yeah.
But that's an energy giver for you. That gives you a lot of energy.
Well, and it grounds me. It centers me. I know I've done something good for my body. And then I just find like the reciprocal benefit ongoing is just that I feel better about myself, my mind, other people.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good. But I feel like it's being aware of what that is. I have not found that bliss in working out.
And I sample other things. Like I've tried daily meditations, like the Daily Stoic as like that. And, our friend Tommy, Heather's husband, Tommy Breedlove, he has a stack of books and sits in the morning and does his inner work so that he can then provide. My dad did something different, but he would wake up early, do his stuff, so then he could do the rest of the stuff with other people.
My dad does that. He does his Bible, like his Bible study and his reading in the morning. I do mine at night.
Yeah.
But I think it's all finding that things is what brings us energy. Like for me, I know the workout is not bringing me energy. I do it when I feel I'm a little behind. I do it when I feel like I need it for a goal. Like I want to drop some weight for a shoot. I want to do that. That tends to be my thing. I do love like hiking and walking outdoors and things like that. I'm not on the
Those are the things
on the
that
Peloton.
we compromise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, compromise wasn't the right word. Those are the things that we tend to, when the going gets tough, those are the things that go by the wayside.
Yeah.
We don't put ourselves first.
Yep.
And I think, and I'm preaching to myself here too, because I mean, I could have woken up earlier and gotten my workout in, but I didn't, so I'll do it this afternoon.
But you do it, but it does legit bring you energy. So I think that's the thing, is a lot of the things that we throw into our schedule, whether it being workout or reading or what have you, we do it because we think we should do it. And that's the differentiation I think a lot of us need to make. I don't want everybody doesn't need to get up at 4:30 to do a workout.
No.
Some people, I'm way better in the evening than I am at 4:30 in the morning.
I'm good at like 9 a.m.
Right.
Which
So
is not necessarily the greatest during the work week.
but knowing your productive time.
Yeah.
So good thing we have you here at 9.
Right.
That's awesome. But knowing your productive time is going to be, because I think that's a lot of times is we do the things that we think we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And, I talked about this in the book as well, is, being raised in the South, true grit, girls raised in the South.
Mm-hmm.
We were taught very much from a very young age, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to act. This is what how you show up. And it took a lot of years and decades to break that for myself, for a lot of my friends, is figuring out how can we be us, like authentically us. When authentic is such the word right now, it's the buzzword, which means people get tired of it soon, but it is true. It's what really gives you energy, realizing that may be totally different than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because I know we talk about hobbies. Like I don't know a lot of adults that truly have hobbies that they just get into and that they love.
Yeah. I have ones that I miss. This ones that I just haven't participated. Like I used to play a lot of tennis and I loved it. Now pickleball's become my recent obsession.
Pickleball is a big thing. I don't know that I'm skilled enough for pickleball. I don't know a lot about it. I did play tennis when I first moved, but this goes back to it. When I first moved to Atlanta, I moved back to Atlanta in 2012. So I've been here 9 years now. And I'd been away for years. A lot of the places that I live, tennis wasn't as big as in Georgia and Atlanta. For those of you guys listening, Atlanta, tennis is a legit thing. Yeah. Everybody plays tennis. Well, so I joined the tennis league because that's what you do when you move here. I am awful at tennis. So I was in Alta and they have, A, B, and C league. We were like C8,
C7.
whatever the lowest is that way. Our snacks were fantastic.
But you were there.
We were there and we brought great snacks.
Yeah.
But I wasn't good at tennis. And what I started to realize is it wasn't that I was bad at it. And that's why I hated it. I just didn't enjoy it. So I'm like, why am I coming here every weekend when it wasn't my thing? But, I also figured out that so many things on my calendar were things I didn't enjoy, which is what takes some intentional work on all of our parts. And that's what we're trying to talk about is the energy. What do you want to add to the calendar and what do you need to take off to be able to do that? Because it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
We're going to have to remove some of the negative stuff to do that.
To do the positive stuff, yeah.
So that's the time thing. Let's talk a little bit about people because we talked about our energizers. Let's talk about the energy zappers because I know for a fact, because you and I have had this conversation, we will not name names to protect the not so innocent on our broadcast today. But there are people in our lives, and unfortunately, some of these are coworkers, some of these are family members, some of these are, friends. There are people in our lives who just drain the bejesus out of us.
Yeah.
So how do you deal, Shelby Triick, affectionately known as Salt, because she's my salty friend. So how do you deal with that, with the energy zappers, with the people that you know, and if you guys are listening, you know these people. You know them. These are the ones you walk in the room, you're like, oh my God, look who's here.
Right.
We all have these people. We all have these people.
The sad fact is I've gotten worse, I think, at dealing with it. Mostly because I just don't want to. Like I'm stuttering now just thinking about it. Yeah. And but I'm the kind of person too that my energy zappers, like if I walk into a room of, people and some of them are there, then I feel like you just got to put up, shut up, get through. But I have to center myself, find the people in the room that aren't the energy zappers, surround gravitate towards my goodness.
And that's the thing is we all know who these people are. So you can't control the controllables. If you come to a gathering, a work function, whatever, and somebody who your nemesis or what have you is there, you can't make them leave. But so you have a choice when you
Well,
walk in that room. Well, you can, but let's not.
Don't make them leave.
Let's not go
Don't
there.
do that.
Well,
don't do that.
But
It's
you make a
rude.
conscious choice. It is rude. You make a conscious choice when you walk in that room how you're going to show up, right? And so you can choose to let that person ruin your whole thing. And let's take it a step further. I've used the coworker example, but we have holidays coming up. We have Thanksgiving. We have Christmas. I am not going to be seeing a lot of my girls are with my ex-in-laws for Thanksgiving, so I will be hanging by myself on Thanksgiving, and I like me, so I should be just fine. But for a lot of people, Thanksgiving is a bad thing. When I was still married, we always went to my in-laws for Thanksgiving. We celebrated Christmas then and everything, and that's why my girls are going there. Yeah. Now my ex-in-laws are fantastic. I looked out on the in-law scale. So Sean Max is the youngest of 4, and all the siblings get along, and despite the fact they are polar opposites, very different, politically, philosophically, everything, they all get along at holidays. So we never had that drama or that negativity around the holidays when we went. However, I do hear from so many of my friends, like, oh my God, I've got to see my sister-in-law or my brother-in-law or my mom or dad or my cousins or my kids or what have you. How do you deal with that? Like a lot of people are listening, I know Tommy's chimed in, Stephanie's chimed in. How do you guys deal with when it's family?
I personally, I similarly lucked out with amazing in-laws, great sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, mother, father-in-laws. They're all amazing people. I think my family is pretty amazing. But I do think for me with the holidays, it's all of the compromise. It's all of the figuring out where are we going. Like it's been a while now since we've been rooted in our traditions. Like growing up, my family did Thanksgiving and Christmas together, so it was like Thanksmas because they lived in Kentucky.
Yeah,
and
that's what they do in St. Louis.
You couldn't get there at Christmas time. Now global warming, I guess, like it's easier, doesn't snow as much. But I digress.
Yes.
So we had these very solid yearly traditions that we did, but then you get married and you involve other families. So for me, sometimes the triggering event is like, well, what are we doing? I just want to know what we're doing. I want to know where we're going, what we're seeing, like, how is it going to be? Like, how are we going to balance the time out? But I got really lucky. The people are great. It's just more me trying to plan it all. How am I going to see my family, his family? Yeah. What are we doing?
Holidays are stressful, and Sean's family did the Thanksgiving mess as well, because that's the one time they all came together. So
that was my favorite thing,
right? And no one got together. my kids get presents at Thanksgiving because that's when they celebrate Christmas.
And then Christmas was just the little family.
And I think is the more family, the more families grow and expand. And my Christmas is just the girls and I, which I love. We do that on Christmas morning, and but it's figuring out where that energy comes from and trying to set. And if you can't control it, understand that everybody else is dealing with the same thing. I feel like sometimes families just, I don't know. I hear this. It seems like this undue stress is put upon everybody when we get to the holidays. Like and part of it, and I'll say this too for the guys listening, especially you guys that are married, let me write this down, because here's the thing. Here's what used to stress me out, and what stresses a lot of the women I know out. Is a lot of the women, the moms especially, are in charge of all the things for the holidays. They're in charge of the class parties and the school and the gifts for the teachers and the gifts for the in-laws and the gifts for their parents and all the stuff, and all making sure that Santa gets the appropriate list and all that type of stuff. All the things fall on typically one spouse. Not all the time, but in large majority of the cases, that's the mom. That's the woman. And I'd say, I don't know the stats on this, but I'd venture to guess 80% at least.
Yeah.
That tends to stress moms the F out, if we're being real. That was, I had a partner one time when I was in my old firm, or one of our partners, we were at a partners meeting, and he's like, you just seem stressed. I'm like, it is 2 weeks till Christmas. Yes, I am very stressed right now. So part of it is grace. And giving people grace to understand that we don't know throughout the holidays what all people have on their plates.
Yeah.
We don't know throughout the holidays who just lost someone, that this may be their first holiday they're not with.
Yeah.
We don't know someone who's not with their kids. I mean, I love the fact that my kids get to go see their, their grandparents because they're awesome. And my kids love that. And they're getting older. They're like 90 now. And so I want them to have every second with them.
Yeah.
But it sucks being by myself. I mean, I'm not going to lie. So people always like, what do you want to do for Thanksgiving? I'm like, I just, bring me a bottle of wine and I'll be happy. Let's just sit and chat. That's really it. But I think part of it is when it comes to energy is we spend so much time worrying about us and what's supposed to be perfect that we don't extend grace, not only to ourselves, but we don't extend it to everybody around us.
Else. Yeah.
Does that sound, is that kind of being too Pollyanna, thinking everybody all just needs to be kumbaya? Or do you think we've kind of gotten away from kindness and grace a little?
We've probably gotten away from kindness and grace a little. I think we all get wrapped up in our own bubbles. Yeah. I think I've been guilty of that.
But our bubbles are so warm and cozy.
They're so warm and cozy. Because I was just thinking as you were saying that, like I think of myself as kind of a weird blend of, as we've talked about in other podcasts, like I'm a fly by the seat of your pants, jump out of an airplane, whatever. So, those are all surprises.
Yeah.
But when it comes to holidays or other things like that, like I want to know what we're doing and be able to plan. I want to be like, have it in my head, know where we're going, know if we're going to be traveling, and like what dish am I bringing? Not because I'm going to do it 2 weeks in advance. It's just nice to know what my pacing is.
But part of that, I think, when it comes to energy is realizing that that's how you are.
Yeah.
But she just rolled her eyes. Like, if you guys could have seen the eye roll I just got on that one, it was fantastic. We may need to get a close-up on that.
I didn't even know I did it.
But you I think you hit the back of your head. But so part of that is understanding that's how you are.
Yeah.
But the people around you may not be that. Your spouse might not be that way. And so many times our energy is controlled by how we react to the other person because we're expecting the other person to react the way that we would. Mm-hmm. And I think that's such an important thing. You can tell how many years of therapy I've had. This is such an important thing to figure out what your partner, and your partner could be your coworker, your spouse, your significant other, your kids, whatever. It's important to figure out how they react and then have a discussion because that's what I'll hear people getting mad about. A lot of my girlfriends, like, they're mad at their spouse for something. And I'm like, well, does he know? No, he should know. I'm like, well, yeah, he should know, but you guys don't share a brain, so he's not going to.
Yeah.
So part of it is figuring out, when it comes to protecting your energy is to understand that the way you get energy and the way you process it and hold on to it and what you value about it may be different than the people closest to you.
Yeah.
And that's where the discussions come in because we have that, like our girlfriend group, we know that, like, I feel like we're pretty vulnerable with each other and we know where we get energy and what throws us off track. And, I use the phone a friend option a lot.
Yeah.
You get a lot of phone calls.
I'll text you, phone a friend.
Yeah. I mean, we literally, but I think part of that is because you understand and you know how my brain processes things. But I don't know that we do that all the time with our partners or with our kids. Is try to really think about things where, and I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we're talking about protecting our energy and trying to put more positive energy out there, we do need to understand that our energy sources, may not be the same as someone else's.
Yeah.
And
it's very easy in those environments to take it for granted that you understand what's going on.
Yeah. It is hard because, some people are just going to be negative Nellies.
Yeah.
I have them in my world. I say this all the time. If you are predominantly negative and putting out negative stuff, you're getting hidden and blocked or cut off from me pretty quick because I do try to preserve my energy.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to gravitate towards people who are negative or posting negative things or controversial or just downers.
God,
I don't like the Debbie downers.
Block, and hide are like...
I unfollow, block, and hide all the time.
It's like the football game of social media.
It is. And people, and I've said this before as well, I get pushback from people that say, well, it's funny. I get pushback from a very small percentage of people. It's like, well, you're always positive and, things can't be, they've got to be bad things happening. There for sure are bad things happening. I'm in the middle of, this bad right now. Like I have had, I would say the last, probably week and a half, 2 weeks have just been awful.
Challenging. Yeah.
Very challenging. I've had some a couple major, very challenging things in my world. But that doesn't mean I'm going to post about it on social. That doesn't mean I'm going to be negative when I'm on air because my whole thing is trying to bring positivity. I will deal with those things with the people closest to me, and that's really all.
Well, we all
I
deal
feel
with crap. We all deal with it. We all deal with shit.
But I think that's why some people like to pile on the negative.
But how you show up. And then, I mean, and I think I've done this with you, and I think you do this with me sometimes. It's like, okay, go, dump.
Yeah.
And then, all right, like, you done?
Yep.
Like, now what can we think about to do? And unfortunately, I
What
have
can we
people
control?
in my life. My husband's like that too. I'm fortunate there, like, who hold me accountable, but will also allow me that space to I don't know, unload.
To decompress.
To decompress. Yeah. But I don't think that dictates how we show up. I mean, I've found myself sometimes I'll show up and I'll be like, you know, this is the analogy I draw. I'm showing my age, but the Rice Krispie Treats commercial where the mom is in the kitchen making the Rice Krispie Treats, and then she's about to go out the little swinging door, and she fluffs flour on her face, and then she opens the door and she's like she just did the hardest thing. Yeah. Like, sometimes I'll show up with the flour on my face. Like, I want people to be like, man, she's going through it. Like, she's, and I don't know why, because sometimes I think that makes it seem like I've got like big responsibilities or something. And then I like roll my eyes at myself and I'm like, are you forking kidding me, Shelby? Like, wipe the flour off. Nobody needs this crap from you.
But I think everyone's different. And, you know, I want everybody to process their negative and go through them. I personally, for me, choose to go through that with a very select group of people and not air all my dirty laundry to everybody. And, you know, but those are the people that know me. And the reason I do that, and I say this all the time, is I honestly don't need or want input from people that don't know me, that don't know the whole story, that don't know how I react and how I think. I want it from the people closest to me that can say, Kristen, and you guys will call me out. Y'all like, this is not you. This is, you know, or you know, frequently you're on the right track. Just keep going. But the reason I bring up the negativity is because we all have it. But what I don't want to see, and what I really hope people can start to get away from, is just the piling on. You know, it's almost sometimes I'll feel like people online try to out negative each other. Yeah. Like, I had this happen. Oh, I had this happen, and this happened worse. And I feel like if we can really start to embrace grace with everybody, meeting people where they are, and trying to see how can we just put more good stuff. There's so much more good stuff in this world right now than there is bad.
Well, hey, I'm just reminded of something, and I don't know where the quote came from, who said it first, but, you know, do the best you can with what you have where you are.
Yeah, I like that.
Put your best foot forward. And sometimes I think, especially in online forums, we're all trying to be relatable in a very flat 1D environment. And, you know, so you share something, but then it lands wrong for that person, and then you want to bring it back and share the context, and it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then before you know it, you're like, how am I fighting with somebody when that's not where this started?
Exactly.
But it's because it's one-dimensional. You may not even know the person. You know, you might be in a shared space and on social media and may not even know the person, and so then it's like, I have to do this for myself too. I'm not
right. It's easy to go down a rabbit hole. I mean, it really is on social, and we know that. And my goal is to make that rabbit hole positive for as many people as I can. And we just. Mia, my middle daughter, who co-hosts on here a lot with me, she and I went to a birthday party for a friend of hers. So she competes in martial arts. She's been doing it for a decade now. And one of the girls that was in top 10 with her for the last several years, they've competed together since they were in elementary school. Well, she had a Sweet 16 party. So we went up to Charlotte for this party. And, you know, it's a great group of people, and they're all such good, positive role models for each other. And they've been through challenges even as teenagers, but I love their support system. But what was interesting is I had 3 different parents that were of the group, you know, parents and karate instructors and all that were up there in North Carolina, come up to me like, I love your podcast. I love the content you put out. It's so motivating. So that's a big reason why I do it. I do it because I need the positivity as much. Yeah. But I feel like people they gravitate towards the good. And I just want all of us out there to showcase more of the good, the feel-good stories. Like, I'm a sucker in, you know, when I do watch news or TV or anything online, I'm a sucker for the feel-good stories.
Well, as if for those of y'all watching at home, I just pulled up my phone that looked probably rude, but I took a screenshot of this meme yesterday, and it's like, and it just says, you know, if your girlfriend, boyfriend, BFF needs reassurance on how you feel, just give it to them. Damn, we're humans and go through shit. It's nice to feel wanted. And I did the screenshot because sometimes do you do that? I don't mean to, but it's like, I don't always cheer, or I don't always give the share or whatever. Because even when I just said, well, that's why you're good at what you do, you're like, oh, thanks. And then I'm like, God, have I told Kristen that she's good at what she does? Like, damn, you're good.
Thank you.
But you know what I mean? Like,
but people need that.
I don't
people
think we
need
need to hoard the compliments. Sometimes I think we think our friends know that we think that, but like, damn.
I think it's
like, give the good.
I think give out the good juju is good. I feel like I do that. I try to do that a lot, but I'm very conscious about it. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning, is doing things that intentionally bring you joy. I get excited to see my friends and my clients succeed. Mm-hmm. It is one of my, that's why I do what I do. That is one of my absolute most favorite things. I will probably be more excited about a client or a friend hitting a goal than I will about me. Like, that is just my jam. I love it, love it, love it. And, the whole thing with positivity and energy is we make a choice what energy we're consuming, and we make a choice what energy we're putting out. Yeah. So I want everyone listening to realize that it is a conscious choice that we make each and every day. And regardless of the things going on in your world, and again, a lot of us are going through some shit right now. Yeah. Regardless of the things going on in your world, you can still choose to put out the positive energy. You can still choose to consume the good. Because right now, if I started consuming the bad, I would go down a rabbit hole. And let's be real, whether you believe in the woo-woo manifestation, all that, whatever you are thinking, you're attracting more of. Yeah. So I'm choosing to think the good stuff. And what's cool is some really good stuff is happening in light of all the crazy stuff going on, right? Yeah. Some really cool good stuff.
Some really cool good stuff.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
So I think, as we wrap, my challenge to everybody, especially as we head into this holiday season, is what can you do to put more good energy out?
Yeah, step into the light.
Step into the light. Step into the light.
Not that light.
Not the tunnel. Not the tunnel. But step into the light. Put the good energy out and just see what comes back. I think you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
So Shelby Triick, thank you for being with me.
Thank you.
We will have Shelby with us for the next few weeks to continue tapping into her wisdom. So until next week, everybody, keep focusing forward. And remember, you can work hard to reclaim your life without losing your edge. So we will see you next week on another episode of Renew.